When the families of victims who were killed or abducted during the June pro-good governance protests arrived at the office of the president, they could not have been prepared for the drama that would later unfold. Following President Ruto's denial that there were protesters who had been abducted by the state and were missing, and his request to any family with a missing person to notify him, families of some of the victims, accompanied by activists and civil society representatives, secured an appointment to present a list of dead and missing persons to his office.
Leo hii tumekuja hapa tukileta watoto wetu wenye walikufa majina zao na watoto wenye walipotea juu kuna siku rais alisema ajui yao watoto. Kwa hivyo leo tumekuja kuleta hao watoto wetu wenye walipotea na wenye walikufa.
Upon arriving, however, the peaceful group was denied access, with security officers saying they could only admit 5 people.
But how do you choose 5? You know, what you're saying is we do an open public process. The president spoke publicly, right?
A standoff ensued, with the group insisting that the office of the president was a public office and all the families present had a right to enter.
You should just tell him, out of all due respect, the least he could do is come and salami.
He's a public servant. He works for us.
If you go and convince him to come here, that's okay. But first of all,
you give a list. Okay? Give a list.
But the rest of you, please.
As negotiations were continuing, 2 police vans pulled up, and within a matter of seconds, a group of armed, masked men appeared, headed straight towards Boniface Mwangi and attempted to violently abduct him.
What is the problem? Seriously? Why do you want to leave? I don't know.
A few brave activists quickly surrounded and threw a blanket of protection around him, thwarting the attempt by the masked men to grab him. In the ensuing melee, unwarranted violence was also meted out on journalists covering the event, and at least 1 camera and a phone were maliciously damaged by state security agents. The shocked and traumatized families were eventually allowed to narrate their stories to the principal administrative secretary in the office of the president, Ada Osia, who also received their petition and promised to give them feedback.
Mr. Osia, the principal administrative secretary, told us this list has been received and that he will ensure it gets to the president. What we want to see now is action.
Mimi nahitaji tu justice ifanyike kwa brother yangu na si yangu peke yake. Hawa wote wamekuja kutafuta justice ya watoto wao waliopotea na wenye bado waliuliwa wapate justice. Hiyo tu ndio tunahitaji.
Na hata wale walioua pia watatiliwa maanani, watiwe ndani. Na serikali tupatie majibu. Tunapatia takriban kama siku 7 sababu wamesema wamesikiza kwamba hatia zetu ni zipi na tunaomba waweze kuturudia kwa haraka iwezekanavyo.
The fact that an attempted abduction of a citizen took place right outside the office of the president, while citizens were presenting a list of abducted persons in response to an appeal made by President Ruto, is clearly a very ominous sign for the future.
So we came here today because we had an appointment with the office of the president to present a list. We came with the families with one agenda, asking for justice for the victims, and for the disappeared, and accountability. But we were met with brutality and violence by the police. It's been 3 months since the protest, and we still have masked police in our streets. Why are they being masked in the streets?
The unmerited and unlawful violence the state has been inflicting upon peaceful citizens exercising their constitutional rights is a real concern for proponents of the rule of law.
We cannot permit Kenya to continue like this, and we need to stand strong with these families because it's sad what's happening and the fact that here we are trying to move on as a country when families cannot sleep at night.
Many Kenyans are still missing, and these abductions by state agents must not be tolerated anymore.